Welcome to the Liker Company webinar, Keeping Your Cool When Things Heat Up with Coolmax EcoMade Technology. I'm Rita Ratzkoff, Senior Strategic Account Manager. I'm based in Chicago, where the humidity is high and it's hot here. So wearing clothes that keep me in my comfort zone is super important. With me on the panel today, I have my colleagues Catherine Jackson, our Marketing Director, Guan Wang, our end-use research specialist based in our Applied Research Lab in Delaware, and Alberto Chiera, our end-use research specialist based in Milan. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. In the bottom center of your screen, there's a Q&A button. You can send a question at any time, and we'll answer all of those at the end of the webinar. We may not be able to get to all the questions, so feel free to respond with your name, and we'll follow up directly with you afterwards. We know that comfort and durability has been on the forefront of what the new consumer is looking for in their purchase decisions. When talking about comfort, it goes beyond clothing that is comfortable to wear because it stretches and moves with you. It also means staying comfortable in different climates and changes in body temperatures. On this webinar, you're going to learn the science behind cooling your body, how Coolmax EcoMade Technology works to deliver durable moisture management to keep you in your comfort zone, and see how Coolmax technology stacks up against other products in the market. So let's first find out how our panel is staying cool, dry, and comfortable. As I mentioned, I live in Chicago and it's hot here, but I'm also an aging baby boomer, and let's just say my body temperature fluctuates whether I'm outside or indoors. Today, I'm wearing my NYDJ jeans with Coolmax technology to keep me in my comfort zone all day in my home office. Juan, tell us what you're wearing.
I'm working in our Applied Research Center located at Delaware. And today is a lovely day outside and we have AC here in the lab, but I need to wear my lab coat for doing the experiment. In order to keep me cool and comfort, I wear H&M Coolmax shirt underneath my coat. So I'm always feel comfortable when doing the experiment. Alberto, do you have any experience you want to share with us?
Oh yes, Juan. I work especially with hosiery and socks. I have to tell I'm not a big hosiery consumer, but I do wear socks quite often. And I can tell when running or in bicycle and exercise, Coolmax is a very good companion, which really delivers the promises that we're gonna discuss later. Also, I have to tell, I have the pleasure to work in a beautiful laboratory in Italy where we knit and produce the garments for our every year collection. And I have to tell that I often take some of the leftovers garments for my own. Katrina, what is your experience?
You're on mute, Catherine.
I really love my Lululemon studio pants. I originally got them to go over my workout clothes, but now I wear them just hiking with my family or everyday use like today.
Thanks, Catherine. Now I'm going to turn it over to Alberto, who will take us through the science of cooling. We'll then dive into the fibers and follow up with the research. So here you go, Alberto.
Thank you, Rita. Thanks a lot and good afternoon to everyone. So today I will try to give you some insights on how our body manages heat and dissipate heat when it's needed, and how the garments will help or can be an obstacle to this called heat exchange. I am a chemical engineer and I can tell heat exchange can be a very complex process, but we have tried to make it very simple for today and try to explain which are the tricks that our body uses to cool us down when it is needed. Our body, let's say, is a perfect machine that works well at 37 degrees or 98, 99 Fahrenheit. Every time that we move away from this target, the body reacts and tries to bring the temperature back to aim. So how does it do that? Say I go for a walk, even if I don't really feel my metabolism increases and I warm up in my body. So the system reacts and what it does is using our circulatory system as a cooling device. And the blood is the refrigeration liquid. So the flow rate of this liquid is increased, it goes all around, and it transfers the heat from the core of the system to the surface, which is our skin, where it is dissipated to the atmosphere and the ambient. This is important because it's the skin is our interface to the external, and it's where most of these heat exchange phenomenon take place. Then, let's say I'm not walking anymore, but I'm really running, or I'm riding a bicycle like the lady in this slide. So my metabolism increases more, the temperature of my body increases more, and the simple circulation that I described is not enough anymore. So the body uses another effect, which is very important, that I'm going to repeat a couple of times in these few minutes. Is called evaporative cooling. It's very important and introduces a key concept that we have to keep in mind. The evaporation generates refrigeration. This is very important. It may sound a little bit weird, but it's true. When something evaporates, it produces cooling. I give you an example so you can visualize that. You are having a shower, you don't immediately dry your hair, the hair are wet, and the moisture in your hair will start to evaporate in its own. Well, you will feel chilly and cold at the moment. That's because there is this evaporation that brings the cooling. And this is exactly what our body does when it has to dissipate a lot of heat. We release a liquid, which is the sweat, and the sweat, it is supposed to evaporate, cool our surface, which is the skin, and then this cold is captured by our circulatory system and brought inside and keep us cool and dry, hopefully again. This is at least the theory in a perfect situation. It does not always work like that. The reason it does not always work like that is because our interface, like I just said, is not really the skin. We put garments on, we put clothing, we put fabric against our skin. So all these mechanisms that I explained, they have to pass through this additional layer that we have. And if this additional layer is well designed and is perfect for the purpose, it will be a good friend for the thermoregulation. Instead, if it is done not in the correct way or not with the specific characteristic, it will be an obstacle to that. This is the reason garment design is very important for thermoregulation and for handle the heat and help these heat exchange processes. There are so many different factors and parameters that a garment designer will consider when it's up to design, for example, a sport garment or a garment that you have to wear in a moment where you have to dissipate a lot of heat. I'm going to mention only three, which are probably the most important. So number one, ventilation panels. We do want to promote or to help the permeability, so the air exchange. We don't want stagnant air to stay into the voids of the fabric of our clothing. And so we want to promote as much as possible the exchange of air from the external to the air that is entrapped into the structure. This is generally accomplished by making some ventilation panels, some mesh structures open. The more the fabric is open, the easier it will be to promote this air exchange. You can imagine we cannot make a garment 100% out of ventilation panels. So this is a good solution that we can use in certain specific part of the clothing. A second criteria that is used and parameter is to have a close fitting. Close fitting is important again for the same reason. We want to avoid the air to remain for a long time and stagnate and not having the possibility to be exchanged. If we have a close fitting, then we can eliminate this stagnant air, but also we give to the fabric the possibility to capture against the skin the sweat that we are producing. If the garment does not touch the skin, then there is no possibility for the fiber themselves to capture this water, this sweat, and then manage it. But as you can imagine, there is no ventilation panel and there is no close fitting that will save you if you do not use the proper fiber. It's really the ingredient that makes the flavor of our recipe today. So it is about choosing the correct ingredient that for us is the correct fiber with the right characteristic, because not only we want to promote this air exchange, we not only want to capture the sweat, but also this sweat, which is mostly water and moisture, has to be managed and has to be transported at the outside of the fabric, so it can evaporate and give this evaporative cooling effect that we mentioned. And here we have some suggestions. In fact, we are here to talk about the Coolmax fiber and the key characteristics of this fiber that are going to help in thermoregulating and cool us down. I talked about garment design and 3 parameters. Now let's talk about 3 parameters of a good fiber that can manage the moisture in the way we want and in the way I described. There are several characteristics. I mentioned again 3 of them. The fiber diameter, so how thin is the yarn? It is very important. Again, if you think about that, the thinner is the yarn, the thinner is the fiber, and then the structure will be probably more open and will promote more air, and the fabric will be lighter and will help the air permeability. Also, it will increase the surface, so it's going to be better. Of course, we cannot think to produce a yoga pant, for example, as sheer as a summer pantyhose. This is just not possible. So thinner fibers helps, but not alone. Very important is another parameter that we call moisture regain. Moisture regain more or less is described like the amount of water that a fiber can incorporate, can entrap inside. And we want this number to be as low as possible. This is important again because we want our fiber to capture the moisture, but not to get wet with the moisture. So the moisture has to be at the surface of the fiber, not entrapped into the core. I give you an example, a fiber with a very high moisture regain is cotton, and we all know how cotton is not a very good choice in this case because we all have the experience of sweat in a cotton shirt or in a cotton garment. It gets wet very soon, and it doesn't really manage this wet. It stays soaked and it doesn't dry easily. Instead, the Coolmax polyester fiber has a very low moisture regain and is ideal for this purpose. The third key characteristic of the Coolmax fiber is the non-round cross-section. The cross-section is basically you take the fiber, you cut you cut this fiber and you look into the microscope and you see that it's not round. It has different shapes that allows mostly 2 important mechanisms. First, the non-round cross-section generates these channels in the fiber. And you can imagine these channels are like the highways for the sweat to move from the skin to the outside world. And that is what really this channel does. They promote this movement and pick the moisture at the skin and transport outside in the external surface of the fabric and spread in as much surface as possible. The second key mechanism that is promoted by the engineered non-round cross-section is the fact that we provide a lot of surface. We have just said that the moisture does not have to penetrate the fiber but stay in the surface. So the more surface the fiber has, the better it will be this spreading, and more of this wet will be available for the evaporation and eventually to promote the evaporative cooling. So this is really very important. In the next slide, you will see a couple of these different cross-sections. There are so many. Now, just to recap what we said, we have a body, it wants to stay a certain temperature, and it put in place a number of tricks to stay there. we produce sweat in purpose to make it evaporate and cool us down. If we have the correct garment with the correct fiber, this sweat will be managed, it will evaporate, and we will be cool and dry. If it is not done in the correct way, then we basically sweat for nothing. We will keep sweating, and this is not what we really want. Before I leave you to Guan, we are going to show you a short video that will help to visualize what I have just described. I hope you enjoy it.
Fabric made with Coolmax EcoMade Technology wicks moisture away from the body to help keep the wearer cool and dry. The special fiber cross-sections move moisture to the outside of the fabric where it evaporates quickly. Consumers can feel good about selecting garments engineered with Coolmax EcoMade Technology, as it's made from 97% recycled resources.
Hi, this is Guan. I believe you must well learn the fundamental knowledge of heat exchange and the performance benefits of Coolmax fiber from Dr. Cheria. In addition to providing our customers the top-notch performance fiber, sustainability is another important factor to consider when we make product. One thing I want to mention that you may hear from the video that 97% of the content in the Coolmax fiber is from recycled resources. It is for our previous EcoMade product. Since the end of 2019, we start to make our Coolmax fiber using 100% post-consumer polyester, such as the recycled polyester from water bottle. Sorry, I was a little bit nervous since it's my first time to do this webinar. Please allow me to take a seat. I didn't realize I already finished one bottle of water. Then this bottle can be used to make our Coolmax EcoMade fiber. This is a very light bottle. It's about 10 grams. And this is a typical tube of Coolmax yarn we make. And it's about 1 kilogram. So we use 100 empty bottles to make this tube of yarn. With the same concept, here's a calculator to help us calculate how many bottles are in our item of clothing. For example, if you have a shirt which its weight is about 85 grams, and 70% of the fiber is our Coolmax EcoMade fiber, then about 6 PET bottles were recycled because you purchased this shirt. Here is a pair of REI socks with Coolmax EcoMade fiber, and it's about 1 empty bottle was used to make this pair of socks. And for my H&M t-shirt, it's about 4 bottles were used. So right now, choosing Coolmax fiber isn't just keeping you cool, it's also good for the planet. As part of our ongoing commitment to sustainability under the Lycra company's Planet Agenda, we have set a goal to convert the majority of our Coolmax fiber business to post-consumer recycled version by 2021. We're excited to have received GRS certification for these new products. The global recycled standard verifies recycled material and includes strict social, environmental, and chemical requirements. People may have questioned how we can ensure our fiber technology can be delivered to customers in a garment form. You can be confident to the fabric made with Coolmax fiber and will consistently perform because of our rigorous testing and certification process, unique in the cooling fabrics industry. We have labs in US, UK, Singapore, and China to serve our global customers. In the US lab, where I am located, we are not only doing brand certification testing, but also advanced testing for specific projects. The testing instrument behind me is a sweat guard hot plate. We modified the instrument and program to test the effect of fabric on human body heat exchange and provide fabric cooling power index to directly show the fabric cooling benefits. As a leader of functional fiber manufacturers, we keep monitoring the market technology trend and ensure the performance of our products is at the top position. Every couple years, we will conduct a market benchmarking study. We test commercial garments, then compare the performance of Coolmax fabric and competitors' products. in the past decade, we saw the average performance of market functional fabric were improved significantly. However, about 70% of the competitors' products are not able to pass our Coolmax brand standard after only 5 wash and dry cycles, while the winking property of the Coolmax fabric won't wash off. Now here is an example of a benchmark study we did in the denim segment. We purchased 3 jeans claiming moisture management technologies from leading brands, one with Coolmax technology and the other 2 with competitors' moisture management technologies. We did an evaluation by testing the water absorbency and moisture winking. This group of images are showing the results of the fabric absorbency and the planar winking testing. The images in the left column show the backside of the fabric, which against the skin when you wear the jeans. The images in right column show the fabric face, which is a garment face surface. In the beginning of the testing, we dropped same amount of water on the backside of each fabric. You can see both Coolmax fabric and competitors' one's fabric show the wet spot, which means the fabrics absorb the water. But the water beads up on competitor 2's fabric, which means this fabric does not absorb water. After we drop the water, we wait for 1 minute to let the moisture transfer into the fabric. Then we flip over the fabric and check the wet spot on the face and measure the size of the wet area on both back and face side. And then the larger wet spot area is, the better moisture winking ability this fabric has. The first row of the image shows the jean with Coolmax technology can absorb the moisture from the backside of the fabric, which against the skin, and then transfer moisture to the face of the fabric, which is the surface of the garment, for better evaporation. You can see the winking pattern on the surface is larger than the winking pattern on the backside. It helps to evaporate moisture much more quickly. Then let's take a look at the second row of the images. It is a result of the competitor 1's jeans. Although this jean also absorbs moisture and transfer it to the surface of the jean, the winking pattern on the surface is smaller than the pattern on the inside. So most of the moisture still stay in the inner layer, and this fabric won't have. For the competitor 2's jean, the water droplet sat on the fabric and was not absorbed by the fabric, and you are not seeing any wet area on the face side of the fabric. In reality, if you wear this jean, your sweat will stay on your skin and you will feel sticky and wet. This jean may be good for raining days as your rain gear when you wear it inside out, but you probably don't want to wear it for the whole day. Now let me hand off to Catherine, and Catherine will introduce the Coolmax brand promising and our brand recognition survey.
Thanks, Guan. To summarize, our Coolmax technology creates sustainable, cool, dry comfort. Because it moves moisture away from the skin, it will feel drier. The breathable fabrics allow air to flow through, causing them to stay cooler. Plus, because the fiber is made with 100% recycled resources, it will reduce environmental impact. So far, we've reviewed the performance capabilities of Coolmax technology. Now let's consider brand recognition. Consumers rank Coolmax second only to Nike's Dri-FIT brand. This makes Coolmax the #1 globally ranked cooling technology brand that is accessible for use in garment collections. Research clearly shows consumers know and value the Coolmax brand. Strong brand recognition translates into consumer preference and a quality offering. In fact, 75% of consumers are more likely to purchase garments made with Coolmax technology, and 7 out of 10 would choose a garment made with Coolmax technology over a garment without it. Plus, over 80% of consumers are willing to pay a premium for it. That can translate into higher, more profitable sales for brands and retailers, and we're pretty excited about that. Now, we would love to hear what clothing you would choose to have Coolmax technology added to. Check out this poll and let us know your thoughts. Personally, I would choose to have it added to more of my tops. Rita, what would be your top pick?
Well, I'm a denim girl, so I would say jeans. So why don't we go on to the questions? So if you have any questions, we have a couple already in, a number of questions that have already been submitted. If you do have a question, please go ahead and submit it as well on the bottom of your screen at the Q&A button. So to start out, Guan, we have a question of how durable is Coolmax technology?
We did a series of testing here in the lab, and based on our lab experiment, the Coolmax fabric performance won't wash off up to 50 wash and dry cycles.
Okay, thank you. Alberto, there's a question regarding the minimum content of Coolmax fiber needed in socks to use the branding.
Yes, Rita, there is a minimum content, but then it depends on the type of qualification you're looking at, but there is a minimum of 30% of Coolmax fiber for socks. It's more important than the actual amount is the fact that we collect the garment before releasing the qualification, and we measure the performances against our testing, and that's pretty important because in that way we make sure the brand promises are met.
Got it. There's a couple other questions on content, and I'll just take that. So we have different content levels based on the garment type to optimize performance. So for example, if you were doing a denim, it would be 20%. So we can share our specifications with anybody who is interested on that. Another one, Guan, I'd say, is Coolmax available only at select mills, or can any mill use it?
We welcome everybody try the outstanding, amazing Coolmax fiber. So as long as you want to try it, you're able to purchase it. And you can send the fabric to the lab I mentioned globally. And if the fabric passes our standard, we'll provide this brand to you. Got it.
Okay, thank you. And then we have about, I'd say, Guan, also about fabrics. Are the fabrics able to be molded for bras for approximately 120 degrees Fahrenheit at 20 to 30 seconds?
Yeah, of course, because Coolmax EcoMade is the same property as the Coolmax original version. And it's only because we maintain the quality the same as our original version, but adding the sustainability features. So if you can do it before, you can do it now, and you can do it in the future.
Okay. And then another one, I'm going to have you also answer, Guan. Is it able to dye to all color standards, and can it be printed?
The short answer is yes. And the long answer is the same as what I mentioned, that the quality of the Coolmax EcoMade is the same as the version.
Got it. Okay. A couple questions about the copy of the presentation, which that will also be available, which we can send out to anybody as requested. And then there was actually a question on how many bottles are used in a pair of jeans. And just as an average, about 15 bottles are diverted for a pair of jeans based on a garment being 722 grams with 20% Coolmax fiber content. And we could do the exact calculation for anybody who wants to know their exact product. And I think that's probably all we have time for right now, but there are a few other questions where people have left their names, so we can reply back to you individually later today or tomorrow. So what we've covered today is the science behind cooling your body, how Coolmax EcoMade technology delivers durable moisture management to keep you in your comfort zone, and shared how Coolmax technology is best in class in performance and preferred by the consumer. So please reach out to myself or your account manager for any additional questions so that we can help you develop performance products that meet your consumer needs. Stay tuned for our next webinar, which is going to be on socks, and some say that socks are the new shoes. So thanks for participating, everyone. Bye-bye.